Time for some more updates on recent Plain English stories. Hi there, it's Jeff, and this is Plain English, the podcast that helps you upgrade your English with stories about current events and trending topics. And we cover a lot of ground here at Plain English, a lot of topics. On Monday we started, and today we'll continue our update episodes. This is where I give you the latest on topics we've talked about in the past. This is episode number 769. That means you can find the transcript, translations, exercises, quiz, and more at plainenglish.com/769. And this is a good one too, because in the transcript, I put links to all the original episodes. So today, you'll hear the updates. If you want to go back and hear the original stories, you can do that with the links in the transcript, plainenglish.com/769, or just click the link in your podcast player. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. We'll start with a story that stopped me in my tracks when I first saw it. You might remember episode 677 when we talked about Daniel Kahneman. He was the psychologist who wrote the book Thinking Fast and Slow. And he made fascinating discoveries about how our brains work when we make decisions. Daniel Kahneman died in March 2024. What I did not know at the time, and what did not come to light until much later, was that Kahneman died by assisted suicide. He spent his final days with his partner, Barbara Tversky, walking around Paris, visiting museums, and eating delicious food. Then, he went to Switzerland for a medically assisted suicide. Daniel Kahneman was the world's foremost expert on human decision-making. So how did he make this ultimate decision? He sent a short email to a small number of friends and colleagues. In it, he said, "The miseries and indignities of the last years of life are superfluous, and I am acting on that belief. I am still active, enjoying many things in life except the daily news, and will die a happy man. But my kidneys are on their last legs, the frequency of mental lapses is increasing, and I am 90 years old. It is time to go." We talked in episode 745 about a proposal in Britain that would allow assisted suicide for patients with terminal illnesses. Most places that allow medically assisted dying require that patients have an incurable condition or suffer unbearably. But Switzerland is one of the very few places that allow people to end their lives simply because they think their lives are complete. And that is what Daniel Kahneman did. He didn't write a final essay or paper on his decision, so we can only speculate on what he was thinking. But it seems likely that he wanted to avoid that long physical and mental decline that often comes at the end of life. He cared for his late wife as she suffered from dementia for many years before her death. And he, Daniel, may have worried that he would lose the mental capacity to make this final decision if he waited too long. Episode 611 was about the new euro banknotes. If you've been to Europe, you may have looked at the currency and wondered about the drawings on the paper bills. But you know what? They are all composites. The drawings on the paper money don't represent real things or real places. But now, the European Central Bank, the ECB, is in the middle of a long public consultation to design a new set of banknotes. A preliminary study group produced 6 possible themes for the new designs. You might remember I didn't like any of the proposals. At the last minute, the ECB added a 7th called European Culture, which I liked better. Here's the update. The ECB has narrowed down the field to just 2 possible themes. One is rivers and birds. The other, thankfully, is European culture. Under the new design, there are 6 paper bills representing 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and 200 euros. And each theme has a proposed topic for each bill, called a motif. For example, in the European culture theme, the scientist Marie Curie would be on the front of the 20 euro note, and a school or a university would be on the back. Miguel Cervantes would be on the front of the 50 euro with a library on the back, Beethoven on the front of the 10, and a choir on the back. You get the idea. That's one direction they may go. The other theme is weird. It's called Rivers and Birds. Here, for example, is the description of what might be on the 50 euro bill. White stork flying over a meandering river in an unconfined river valley. I couldn't picture this, so I had ChatGPT create an image. That's the image that accompanies this episode. All I can say is, I hope they go with the European culture theme. The ECB will impanel a jury and launch a design contest in 2025. They'll narrow the designs down to a short list which the public will vote on in 2026. You might remember this from episode 544, about 4 years ago. A woman was shot and killed during the filming of a movie, Rust. The person who fired the gun was the actor Alec Baldwin. But the gun was a prop. It was part of the movie. It wasn't supposed to have a real bullet, but it did. And when the gun went off, the bullet hit a 42-year-old cinematographer named Halyna Hutchins. She died. Actors use real guns on movie sets, but not real ammunition. Every set that uses guns has an armorer, a person whose whole job is to make sure that any weapons are handled safely. The armorer on Rust was a 25-year-old named Hannah Gutierrez Reed. She had very little experience in her job, and the experience she did have was dreadful. Prosecutors charged both Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed with involuntary manslaughter, a charge that means killing someone without meaning to do so. The case against Alec Baldwin was dismissed on procedural grounds, but Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was convicted and sentenced to 18 months in prison. She is still behind bars. There are two other developments. First, there's a new documentary about what happened. It's called Last Take, and it's available now on Disney+. Second, the movie Rust is finally done. Filming resumed in January 2023 after a delay of almost 2 years. Halyna Hutchins' husband joined the crew and was an executive producer. The movie premiered at a film festival in Poland last year and will be released in theaters in May. In episode 444, we talked about standardized tests, specifically the ones that universities use in their admissions decisions. The story was about how elite universities were moving away from these tests. At the time, universities said they were unreliable predictors of success, especially in the pandemic when education was disrupted. And people started to wonder if these tests would survive, if universities would eventually stop requiring standardized tests for applicants. Now that the pandemic has passed, many universities are starting to require test scores again. Just a few examples include Harvard, Yale, MIT, the University of Texas, and the University of Michigan. The tests in the U.S. are the SAT and the ACT. Students usually take one or the other depending on where they live and where they want to go to school. Universities say they are a valuable predictor of academic success. Not the only predictor, of course, but a valuable one. They also say the tests can help them find strong candidates from all backgrounds, especially those who might be overlooked if they didn't attend a top high school. Just a few weeks ago in episode 748, I told you about Saturday Night Live, the comedy show that was celebrating its 50th anniversary. I watched the 3-hour anniversary special. It was good. It had its moments, but I'm like so many people who watched the show. I think it was funniest when I was a kid. We cover a lot of ground here at Plain English, don't we? I'm proud of that. I really love what we do here. You listen, you learn a lot of great English with us, but you also learn about the world. It's like putting spinach in a fruit smoothie. You enjoy the taste of the fruit, but you unwittingly get the nutritional benefits of the spinach. You listen here for the great stories, but you also learn lots of new words in English. It's almost like I'm tricking you into thinking in English. Well, that's all for this episode. This was episode 769. So you can find the full transcript at plainenglish.com/769, or just click on the link in your podcast player. We will be back with a new topic on Monday. There will be one more episode in our theme for the month of April. That theme, remember, is at home. And then, believe it or not, next Thursday will be May 2025 already. We'll see you back here on Monday. Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, you can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com.